Dear friend, here, for many people. But my name is Eric Roger. International members of Space very happy to see local action. So, people vocabulary the city.
Tô usando não.
Happy to put this event together between people and
Aqui tu mexeu.
Não é? Well known that 74% of the population living in the city is incredibly big. And many of the global challenges that are faced was in fact see this where with increasing urbanization, with the destruction of the weather projects, which is not further don't flooding, urban planning. There is a growing demand that water that we need to live as population, specifically urban growth. With this growth, we are searching for the competition between different water regions. The basic point of view, city represents singularity. I did not say global, but singularity. And there are part of the basic factors operating towards risk states, including long risks that can affect vertically economic activities. So the first nations and secure administrations that's life. Not only so. When a scarcity is very important, risk for sickness, there will be more needs for very cost investment into the emergent human mind and furniture build up.
O celular que muito estranho, Marcos. Na verdade, o celular muito estranho aqui. Pilanja.
We can do that by breaking down this file.
Do lado da pilanja. Deixa o celular dele aqui, saiu.
What is serious? Purpose of the service management is disconnected from urban design. Layers and policy changes and urban design things have an important responsibility in enforcing their linkages different approaches to department. Message. It's so important, of course, to investment, as we now see solidarities, based solidarity. And those like that connections, water resources, atmosphere, river basin, while water connects the spectrum, places people as well as human local scale, logical and inequity of the kingdom.
Eu não escutou na rádio, não? Tá sem fone, pô, te chamei. Viu? Tava ajeitando ali. Na hora que eu começar agora, certinho. Mexer.
And to prepare for string events and events of climate change. These issues we published Well, what we refer to is IWRM's tool, that was published a few years ago of basic interactive city that provides key for one thing, all of them. Well, then, these are the two elements, institute that the Chairman will recommend putting into this institute. You can go to pay for the moderation that was this
Of dialogue on moving resilience through improved monitoring and through integrated water management and digital plan resilience. Dr. Kate Scott and I am the senior manager at the Untitled the Resilience DRI.
Áudio agora.
There's a really remarkable panel of leaders working across clusters to really bridge the divide between cities and natural basins. That is a statement. By 2050, as we heard earlier, only 6 billion in urban areas. It's a very exponential numbers in using the triple challenge of too much, too little, too polluted water. Now the current reality of many of our cities around the world. Our focus today is on solutions.
Falei pra ele que ele tinha que passar na mão da pessoa.
Sanitation. We help cities reconnect with their natural taking water security and advance climate resilience. We will get examples from Brazil, South Africa, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Each showcase exactly what resilience is, and that it really is not a single intervention, but really a shared system of governance, innovation, and a people-centered plan. So, to open, we'll start in Brazil with a dialogue that perfectly illustrates what integration between basic and urban planning has looked like in practice. And it's my real honor today to introduce this other aspect and the Secretary of Water Resources and Sustainability, Secretary of Environment and Sustainability of the State of Rio de Janeiro, as well as August, Secretary of Caribbean and Street River Basin Exploration from Minnesota. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear from the State of Rio and the Caribbean and the Soil Basin Committee urban planning and basin management planning and better integrated to really work with tree resilience or tree resilient cities. So thank you so much.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here with you. I hope you understand well my English. I'll try to do my best. Sometimes I need some words, but let's try to make it happen. First of all, Rio is a state that has 17 million people living in the state, but there is one specific basin that congregates more than 13 million people. So it is around that Guanabara Bay that would have the population of Rio really living. And in this region we have more than 1,000 favelas, vulnerable communities living around this bay. So we have a huge challenge when we talk about resilience on how to prepare this population that lives really engaged to each other in this specific area. So the state is divided in 9 basins. And we have one federal basin also that is responsible for the water that we receive in the central area of the Guanabara Bay. So we don't have water scarcity in the west part of the state, but we have water scarcity in the east part of the state. And till now we haven't succeeded to connect one side of the state to the other. So what we are doing now that we are developing our water security state plan for the first time. We are doing a plan with the university, the federal university, and this plan will look to the next 20 years. It will be a long-term plan that will take into consideration the models of how the climate change will alter our access to water. So it's a 20 years plan, and the security plan is help us to understand in each region, in each phase, what are the procedures that we have to develop. If it's nature-based solutions, if it's really some work that we have to do for the next 20 years. So we are just now starting this Rio. This is a very, very important moment for us. And especially in this area around the Guanabara Bay. Has anyone been here before? Anyone? Any? Natalia? Okay. So, you know, it's a beautiful and incredible place. But sanitation is less than 50%. We have basic sanitation on 46%, more or less. And 2 years ago, we started 3 years ago, we started a concession to be able to start basic sanitation in this 13 million people area that it's a delay of 30 years. We are 30 years delayed on basic sanitation. And the water of our bay is so polluted that it's not swimmable anymore. So what we are doing is that we have 7 cities around the bay. 2 of the cities, Rio de Janeiro City and Niterói City, they have something to do with the bay. They have a life in the bay because the water is cleaner, it's near the ocean. But the other 5 municipalities to the back of the bay, the water is really polluted, so they have their backs to the bay. People do not interact with the water. And so what we've been doing the last 3 years, starting the sanitation, the basic sanitation investments. It's a project for 35 years, so we are just in the beginning, but we have some beaches that were not swimmable for the last 15 years that have become to be swimmable. Like the beach of Flamengo, Botafogo, Gloria, and the island of Maquetá, places that were not swimmable for the last, I don't know how many years. They have become swimmable again. This changes everything for Rio, because we could understand that if we preserve and if our waters are safe, we will have much more increase in economic and sustainable development than if it was not. So we've been destroying our waters for the last 30 years, and for the last 3 years we have changed everything. And so what we are doing to monitor our bay is that we are creating a center for technological center to monitor the quality of the water, also to monitor the oceanographic and atmospheric data of the Guanabara Bay, to be a clean, how can I say this? It will be a digital twin of the Guanabara Bay that we can model. And if we have a disaster, like we had in 2001, a petroleum disaster that destroyed half of the bay, if we have oil spills and things like that, we will be able for the first time to know where the oil is going and how do we prevent accidents. It can be an accident through industry, a human disaster, or a disaster that comes from an extreme event. So we are becoming prepared for the first time for this. We are creating a very robust platform, monitoring in real time all the ecosystem of the Guanabara Bay, and we need the satellites also to be able to have more information. We're working on this, so we need a lot of technology to be able to achieve the goals that we have on really working to have a safe bay for our people. And what we see is that Rio is a city has huge potential. The city, though, the whole area, the metropolitan area, has a huge potential to become a blue metropolis. We have hired 2 years ago a deep dive study from OECD about blue economy, about the blue metropolis, and what we have achieved is that we understand now what are the main sectors of blue economy that can be developed around the Guanabara Bay, and how this can change the reality so people will not be anymore in the to the bay, because the bay in 2033 needs to achieve 90% of basic sanitation within this process that we have made over session. So this means that we have a clean water, and this clean water will be able to change the reality, and people will be able to have sports, tourism, bioeconomy, sports, navigation, aquarium, navigation, I don't know how to say this in English, but it can change completely the way people use with water. So what we know that from this study from the OECD is that if we invest in basic sanitation, we'll be able to distribute more money to the population through new blue businesses, new blue entrepreneurs, and also we'll be able to have more income generation, more revenue to the city if we do not save our water. So it's really an important moment that we are reaching in Rio, and this is so important because we know that we are going to face in the next 20 years water scarcity in the region even more. And now what we are having is that during summer, the rains are really, really high and really, really strong. So we have several problems with flooding, and with the time of after winter, we have the scarcity of water during 3 or 4 months. So we are living climate change in its speed, and it's a challenge for us. That's why we need not only to act now and as a state to improve the situation with the municipalities. So we are now investing and producing, investing in the municipalities of Rio. We have 92 municipalities, and we are going to develop the climate action plan for 56 of the 92 municipalities. So 56 that are the most vulnerable for extreme events will have the possibility now to have its own climate action, and we believe you will need to be together with regions forward under two coalition, IMU and ICLE, several organizations to help us to be able to get also access to finance, to be able to invest in these action plans. Just a final say that by the end, we know that who makes the difference, makes the difference are the cities. They are the ones that have to deal directly with extreme events. They stay as this opportunity, as an articulator and as an investor to help the cities to be more prepared, the ones that are most vulnerable. So we have developed a study also with the 30 municipalities most vulnerable with UN habitat, and we know exactly what are the places that are going to have problems in the next terrain. To make public policy, we need information, we need data, we need information. So it's impossible to predict and to make the investments we need to make if it's our own funds on the state or if it's with international financial organizations. We need data, we need information to present the next investment. So we are working with, I am myself. We are working with the municipalities, and we are open for anyone that wants to know what's happening in Rio. We have this huge work that has just been launched Last week, we've been in local this forum, so it's ready to show to you about the 30 cities more vulnerable in the state. I'm sorry, and because I need to show the microphone. Thank you so much.
Elizabeth Sosa, Senator, sociable. You won't be able to speak in English, please speak in Portuguese. I'll help out with the translation problems.
Faço parte da diretoria do Comitê Sem Base. Foram muitas pessoas. O comitê que ele sempre que tem quatro pessoas, e a gente tem uma situação. A gente pode chegar lá no trabalho desse comitê, nós temos e regularizam uma bacia até chegar ao Rio de Janeiro. Do Rio de Janeiro. Aí falasse no dia, só tem mesmo, né?
She's one of the directors on SAVA, which is a committee for the Rio Grande Sul basin. And it's a river that covers, a basin that covers 184 municipalities. And along with Anna, she works making the strategic decisions for the basin.
E nós temos um sistema de reservatórios que regulam a bacia até ele entrar no Rio de Janeiro. O reservatório de geração de energia, e eu represento o setor elétrico dentro das comunidades de bacia.
And there's reserves, water reserves that are kept separately to be able to produce electric energy, hydroelectric power for the region of the 13 million people of Rio de Janeiro that she works on this management of these water reserves.
Nós tivemos uma crise em 2014, onde justamente a gestão desses reservatórios foi o que nos trouxe a garantia de não faltar água para a bacia toda e para dois estados que tem a bacia também contribuem com água.
We have recently suffered with water crisis a couple of years ago. These reserves were what managed to keep us with the ideal production of water and electricity and hydropower during this drought crisis.
Durante essa crise, quando nós enfrentamos em 2014 e 2015, a gente tem a característica de Paraíba do Sul ele é abastecido em muitas regiões metropolitanas fora da bacia. A região metropolitana do Rio de Janeiro e a região agora também contribuindo para a região metropolitana de São Paulo.
So this basin, it provides water for two big metropolises, the metropolitan region of Rio, but recently started supplying water for the metropolitan region of São Paulo. Which it helps supplying water for a population that is over 20 million people. Plus, not entirely, but helps there. That supplies water for 12 million people in the metropolitan area of Rio de Janeiro.
para enfrentar, se não haver falta de água para essa região, essa bacia, junto com o órgão gestor regional de água, o operador regional do sistema,
Eles desconfiguraram
nós reunimos semanalmente e esse grupo definir quais seriam as melhores regras da implementação, de forma que a gente conseguir garantir o abastecimento do ano oficialmente. E a descentralização.
Yeah, there's all kinds of state.
So this is the group that would make the decisions to see. Those decisions were taken weekly by the committee, in which is the director participates with the strategic operation of the basin.
Hoje, São Paulo está passando por mais uma crise hídrica. Foi necessário emitir agora o dobro do que a vazão foi permitida para a Paraíba do Sul, que retirava 5 metros cúbicos, agora vai retirar 10 metros cúbicos. Bem diferente da realidade daqui de Janeiro, que tira 119 apenas metros cúbicos da bacia do Paraíba do Sul, que equivale a 2/3 da vazão do Paraíba do Sul. Tá? E nós estamos buscando uma nova forma de não cair, de não criar tanta dependência para a região de baixo, Paraíba do Sul, e criar reservatórios na parte mineira da bacia, para que consiga regularizar o final da bacia do Paraíba do Sul dentro do estado de Rio de Janeiro.
So nowadays, São Paulo is consuming twice as much as they were before. They went from 5. So it's now, it went from 5 to 10, to 10 square cubic meters per second that is consumed by São Paulo. And it's very different from Rio, which consumes 20 times that. So just to have an idea that it started supplying, and in Rio consumes 20 times that, but these 20 times is 2/3 of the flow of the water of the basin that's consumed by the 12 million people. And they're now looking for other sources of water from the basin, coming from another state, which is Minas Gerais, to be able to support and allow us to have enough water for the entire population. So there's a whole management of a structure that crosses 3 states, and there is one state in the base of the river, which is São Paulo, and now it's allowing to, there's a management of the rest to be able to follow through.
Encerrando, o recado que eu gostaria de deixar é que nós achamos um caminho. E através do Comitê de Bacia, de uma forma descentralizada, nós tomarmos decisões de como operar esses reservatórios de forma a atender a região, com o órgão gestor acatando todas as decisões tomadas no âmbito do Comitê de Bacia. É uma forma de uma decisão descentralizada, compartilhada, tentando achar justamente o que a nossa lei federal nos coloca como o principal papel. Então, hoje, essas decisões continuam são tomadas através de um grupo, que é o Grupo de Operações Hidráulicas da Bacia do Paraíba do Sul, é o GTAOH, sabe? O Grupo de Trabalho de Operações Hidráulicas. E esse grupo hoje é o responsável por definir essas decisões.
So she wanted to conclude by saying that this is all possible. In this case, there's a whole transposition of a river to flow to the basin from Minas Gerais, and it's all done in a decentralized way. So there's this basin committee which is decentralized. It's not focused on, doesn't come from one of the municipalities to impose. It's decided by the whole region management and by this operation group, this hydro operation group that's managing the whole basin. That's it. Thank you very much.
thank you so much for Sasti and the scholars for already demonstrating how collaborative base in the city governance translates policy into impact. And what we just heard is a really powerful reminder that water resilience begins with cooperation across scales. And we now move to turn to our panelists, and we move from Brazil to South Africa, where similar integration efforts are already underway in Gauteng province.
Bom dia.
Our next speaker, Our next speaker is Mr. Ewan Botha, the member of the Executive Council for Environment Counseling Department of Agriculture, South Africa. And Mr. Botha is a public sector leader with a strong focus on governance, policy implementation, and stakeholder collaboration in driving sustainable development across the Gauteng province. And Mr. Botha, Gauteng in South Africa is an economic powerhouse, but also faces serious water stress. Can you share how the province is really advancing urban water resilience and local climate action in practice?
Thank you very much. Okay, so the slide is quite extensive. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through each and every single one of them. And you can just flip through the slides as we go along. And if you want the presentation afterwards, I'm very happy to share that. So just to give everyone some context around what Gauteng is, and unlike my colleagues, we're actually a largely, well, entirely landlocked province in South Africa. So we're one of the largest economies in the world that isn't actually based around a water source, which is absolutely fascinating because it therefore means that we've ended up with 16 million people in about 2% of South Africa's land space. It's a very, very small province. And with that space, we've obviously got rapid urbanization that's taking place as well. As a result of that, we've got a lot of climate variability. We've got 3 major metropolitan municipalities which are in Gauteng as well. There are only 8 in South Africa and 3 of them in Gauteng, which means that we've also got an enormous amount of industry. And that then obviously yields high demand on water systems. So we're having to get water in through our various large bodies around Gauteng, Orange River, Vaal, Artibespoort, which are all dams and bodies of water that we bring in. And then the municipalities are having issues as well with some of their infrastructure developments, and that leads largely to issues of water that flows into sewage is flowing into the water as well. So as a result, our climate response strategy prioritizes water security, and this moves also through nature-based solutions, integrated urban planning, and then the SDGs and Sendai as well. So one of the practical solutions that I want to talk about, and it's an integrated water resource management and sustainable urban development, urban drainage system, which happens across municipalities, is the Kwalsprait's catchment rehabilitation program which we're running. So Kwalspruit, we've got Tshwane to the north, we've got Ekurhuleni to the east, and then we've got City of Joburg to the south. And Kwalspruit actually runs through 3 municipalities, not 180, but these 3 municipalities which are largely industry driven. So what's ending up happening is if you look into the east municipality, which is Ekurhuleni, there's a lot of industry that's being driven there. And the water is actually flowing from industry and there is dumping water into this particular catchment area. That then overflows and runs into City of Joburg in the south, and that ends up eroding a lot of the water banks away, the river banks away. And there are both formal and informal settlements which are along this particular catchment area. So if we continue to erode, those informal settlements become at risk, and obviously with Gauteng there's a lot of inequality. We've got a lot of informal settlements, which we call tish areas, which is townships, informal settlements, and hostels. So that then creates an issue further downstream. And then it goes slightly up north to where Tshwane is, and it's a small area within Tshwane, which is called Centurion. And the water ends up there at the flat lying areas. And that obviously then floods, and a lot of the pollution that ends up happening there culminates and it creates bad smells, and obviously pollutes the water table as well. And so as a result, what we've actually done And this slide's actually fantastic to show. We've removed 200,000 cubic meters of silt from this particular area. We've also gone in with natural vegetation to avoid and prevent the eroding from taking place. And we're also looking at litter traps. So a lot of the litter that's building up also assists with or contributes to the erosion of the banks itself in this basin. So obviously these areas impact a lot of, as I said, our informal settlements such as Tembisa and Alexandra. And we know in Gauteng what's going to end up happening with the climate change, and our climate shocks are going to be that Gauteng is going to become hotter and drier. Right? So we are expecting a lot longer drought periods, but the amount of rain that's going to fall is going to remain the same. It's just going to happen in shorter, sharper bursts. So projects like these become absolutely critical. And when you look at the urban drainage zones, the sustainable urban drainage zones, this is where we need to start to focus, because we can't just simply have concrete that's allowing water to run off. We need to send them into catchment areas and into these basins that are actually sustainable. We've also got issues around Gauteng whereby we've got wetlands. Some of them are shrinking because we're not guiding enough water towards where they should be, and some of them are growing too rapidly. So where there was once a wetland that was manageable, it's now actually starting to spread to the extent where we're going to lose infrastructure. As a result of this, we've also looked at supporting the various SDGs, SDG 6, 11, 13, and 17. I'm not going to go through each one of them again. I'll have to share the presentation. In order to achieve what we want to achieve around taking care of our basins, and again, it's not a huge issue around water itself because we're not water-based, but the water that we do have, the catchment areas that we do have, become all that more vulnerable to climate change if we don't start to consider how to deal with them now, if we don't take these STCs and these partnerships seriously. So we all know that there's issues around climate financing, how that money flows, how we get our hands on it. And I think what's really come to my attention during this talk is that we need to start to take phased approaches to these things. We need to be able to set out conditions and say, look, this is what we're looking to achieve, this is why we're looking to achieve it, and in this regard, our basins is water. And we will then be able to say to our funders and to the multi-stakeholders, look, here is what we're going to do, and it's going to be a planned approach. So capacity is an issue. We do have some difficulty within the capacity. I've just spoken about the sustained climate finance, and then embedding that adaptation into mainstream planning. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak here. Again, this presentation is available if you would like it, and then I'd love to meet with our colleagues who have done this on a much larger scale to see how we can really put this into practice and implement it within the province. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Botha. You've really shown that strong leadership and integrated planning can turn scarcity into opportunity. And we appreciate your entitled planting where political will and intermunicipality and departmental collaboration is really driving the practical progress. We now need to turn to Bangladesh to look at resilience in one of the world's most densely populated and delta cities. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Sharif Jamil, the I'm never going to get that right, river keeper and coordinator at Water Keepers Bangladesh. And he also serves on the board and council member of the Water Keeper Alliance and the executive director of the Blue Planet Initiative. And Mr. Jamil has been a tireless advocate for the protecting of rivers and wetlands in the urban ecosystem. Mr. Jamil, as the city of 20 million people built around 4 major rivers, I think it is, Dakar's future is deeply tied into waterways. What does climate resilience mean in this context of really rapid urbanization and integrated natural systems?
Thomas, Dr. Kate, but no English and the time constraint is harder now to actually
go to the slides that I prepared for this panel. We go to the next one. I have to say next every time, right? My goodness, also we start. Okay, let's try. But I am confident that my Englishes were better than your Bengali, so I can go. If you see, this is Tibetan to reform Bangladesh. It's not like other countries. 120 million years ago, when Gondwana was created, the Indian fleet started coming towards the northbound. It had a coalition with the Eurasian fleet 60 million years ago. Mount Himalayan range and Arakan mountain range came up. Then these mighty river systems came up that actually formed this land. And you can see the Ganges and Brahmaputra river system actually made Bangladesh. And if you see Bangladesh, it's very small, but a lot of rivers you can see. We are riverine people. Everywhere the civilization actually took place based on the river. And you will see the impact of climate change. I think it's a crop 30, so you all know Bangladesh is one of the most climate vulnerable nations in the world. But one thing is very important for you to remember that it is a very densely populated country. So environmental degradation actually brings humanitarian catastrophe there. Because a lot of people live there who actually are living based on the river systems. In October 2019, there was an updated study that shows how much land area of Bangladesh can be inundated due to the climate change and sea level rise. But that's not the only consequences we are going to be facing. We are facing every day the erosion, like the salinity intrusion, drought, unpredictable precipitations. And all these things are actually affecting us because we are at the downstream of Ganges and Brahmaputra river system. And as we are discussing about the basin, of course, this is very important for us to remember. Please go to the next one. Here I come to Dhaka. Dhaka is the capital of the country, and it is, maybe you have 30 million people, we have 20 million people, but it is the most densely populated capital in the world. We have about 50,000 people in 1 square kilometer. And in the slum areas, it is like 150,000 people in 1 square kilometer. But it has a one unique character in terms of natural architecture. If you see, you can see it is actually bounded by 4 rivers, which is very unique, but it has also limited us to grow. But you will see the growth of the city 400 or 400 years ago started pre-Mughal era. You can see the map, that part of this map, that actually started, the city started to grow based on the river Buriganga. That very nicely pronounced by the Then in the Mughal era, it expanded towards the north. British era expanded a little bit. During Pakistan era, it expanded much. And during Bangladesh era, it is now growing like anything. It does not follow any money. I will come here later. Could you go to the next one? Okay, Dhaka has a lot of prospects and a lot of problems. I don't want to go deep into all this, but we are very much interested in this in here, which is the drainage system. You see, 4 rivers were all interconnected to canals. So, and it's also delta, so you can understand how much canals and wetlands that we had. And for the city retention, we had like 77 water bodies, including the canals in Dhaka. But all these are disappeared due to the encroachment, population pressure, and poor governance. Can you go to the next one, please? And this is the urban green space. You can also see the changes, how quickly we are losing our greeneries, and that's why the groundwater depletion level is very, very high. It's more than 6 to 7 centimeters every year where our groundwater is depleted. So water supply sanitation is very important and very critical issue for Dhaka city. Can you go to the next one? I'm jumping very close quickly. And due to the climate crisis, is not necessarily in Dhaka. There is consequences of climate change directly affecting the people and ecology of Dhaka, but at the same time, the effect in the other climate stress areas are also coming to Dhaka because it's a very centralized country. not in provinces, we don't have infrastructure in the other areas. It is only big cities, so people come there. We need more study and updated information, but for many years we know that more than a million people are climate migrate towards the city every year. And out of them, like 50 or more than that, 70% are that happen. So they are also in the slums, and it has also impacted the urban life and livelihood. Due to the national business. Yeah, so basic thing is, as it is bounded by 4 rivers, whatever you are doing inside Dhaka, in terms of drainage system, in terms of water supply, in terms of stormwater discharge, everything eventually goes to the, like everything eventually goes to the rivers. So if you don't keep the rivers intact, then it does not make any sense to do any other project that can save the city. That's why I now want to conclude with my presentation with the river condition. You see, our rivers are really dying of this between canals, not because the way we are managing, but because we did not follow how it was supposed to be from the legal frameworks and the court verdicts. Into the next one, please. Here you can see only one thing getting back. That one, please. You see, we have like legal frameworks from the very beginning in 1950s, when the British government, it was colonial era, in British media. They came up with legal frameworks called State Acquisition and Tenancy Act, under which act the deputy collectors actually was collecting the revenue. That actually says what would be the river and Bangladesh river size would be. It's not like similar river in the upstream, because it's a delta river. So every river will have three parts, which is the main period flow, called river bed, and then from the main period flow to the stream flow, which is the foreshore, and then there is the bed. Many places the river is also passed in the floodplains. So we need to protect all this. But you see the Dhaka River in the name of protection, they are creating the embankments that is actually cutting the relationship with the people and river, which is against the integrated water resource management. So we are moving forward next month. This is the last slide. We are moving forward with the managing our rivers. We are in the name of complying with the court verdict, in the name of complying with the legal frameworks. We are just doing the opposite. So we need to focus on the implementation or in terms of the project financing and project designing. And it is a delta country. We have Delta Plan 2100 that did not discuss anything about the transboundary water sharing, but we are at the bottom of things at all. That is shared with 5 million chapters. Thank you so much.
So many reflections in Denmark's river system. It's really a reminder that protecting our rivers is protecting our people. Your insights really remind us that also resilience is so much about governance and enforcement, but it's also about engineering. And thank you so much. Next, we're going to turn to Europe to explore how city-basin partnerships are really being built in France. And I have the pleasure now of inviting up our next speaker, Ms. Leroux Chauvenet, the Deputy for International Relations for the City and Metropolitan Area of Poitiers, France. And she plays a leading role in advancing the international partnerships on sustainable urban development and climate adaptation. Ms. Leroux Chauvenet, Poitiers, has been really advancing innovation and city partnerships around sustainable urban water management. And so you talk about how your city is really linking that local climate action with watershed collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a real pleasure for me to be there, and in fact, you may be asking yourself why someone of international relations is here to speak of what. But I assure you that there is a link with all. So, before anything else, I would like to recall the footprint of fact between these 2010 water has been recognized by the United Nations as a human right. And we confirm, so we're speaking about international relations. Based on this foundation, one essential question to stay. How can we ensure fair, equitable, and balanced access to water among all users? That's a big question we all ask ourselves. So in France, cities and intermunicipalities authorities have a direct responsibility for the production, management, and distribution of drinking water, as well as sanitation. The role of local government is clear, also complex. Preserve the resource while building resilience to future challenges. Local actors are on the front line as they are the ones who plan, implement, and manage the resource on daily basis. That's why when we talk about water and local authority, three guiding there's the best shape ratio. Invest, act, educate. Invest to invest in sustainable infrastructure with a focus on continuity and long-term resilience. Today's investments must be made with tomorrow's ambition in mind to do better for sustainability and for everyone. On that point, we need first from states and international organizations. That's a point where we all are there to act through effective and coherent public policies by sharing waters. I mean, it's what we are doing there. Space like code, but also decentralized cooperation, which means cooperation between cities and all territories, are essential. They allow us to learn from one to another, to avoid reinventing what already exists, and to save our time. I mean, to share something that you made in your city or in expect, and someone else does that, it will save like 1 year to do something, not really. So we have really to act and and we need to carry out current water policies in design them with the offer territories, for the territories, and in harmony with its uses, of course. I will speak later, but this point of territories have a big link to also formation of water. And to educate is to raise awareness and foster responsibility. It means integrating systems into everyday water practices, helping everyone understanding that every gesture matters, and thus building a genuine democracy of water at a global level, but also at a national and international level, where we are doing well, I guess. Because protecting the resource is also a matter of shared culture. We need to share what we are doing, everyone, and in every city, every country, every basin, to know better how to do better. So, water management requires immediate action within a global and coherent planning framework. And local governments are often best positioned, thanks to their ability to implement such reduction. I mean, we need a coherent planning framework at global level, but action at a local level, right? So, stability must fit within a multi-level global governance framework, very important. If water is managed locally, international must be set at a global level. The global level must set the direction, one must have transparency, accountability, and democratic oversight, while giving the region the peace to act. Within this framework, decentralized cooperation plays the key role, and we have a perfect example there. There's something that you do which could help all those people and all the cities and all those countries to do better in their own country, their own, and that's right, everyone else. So it enables the local authority to share their expertise, pull their experiences about solutions tailored to local reality. It is a concrete level of solidarity with territories and a bridge with the local and the global. between day-to-day water management and international vision of water as a common good. In fact, it is the main sector of action for Italy's cooperation with 10 million euros of global development in France 2024. Waters knows no borders, so business of watershed and of climate are really interconnected. That's why cooperation among all the belts, local, national, and international, and among all sectors, rural, urban, economic, and society, is indispensable. IWRM works through global water commission, which brings together all stakeholders, institutional, associative, economic, and citizens. Dialogue space are essential to collectively shape water management into public interest. I mean, well, not work on an institutional way, you need to work with association, but also with citizens, as I already explained before. Current planning across local, national, and international levels will allow for peaceful and sustainable water management. And again, what we are actually talking about managing water is about peace. And I want to say something, few words about water management. Because the issue of some most never deprive waters of common roots. And answering the use of access to water is also this is dignity. I think it's something which is it's a more global about it. When we are speaking about global transformation of water, we also are speaking about the global transformation of things.
Regions and scale up the collaboration. I think your reflections really, both the city journey really beautifully around reminding us that shared learnings across continents is really key for shared resilience. So thanks to all our speakers who've been really rich and grounded insights today. And to close our session, it's my pleasure to invite the head of international cooperation and to share the concluding reflections of today's session.
Thank you very much, Kate, and thank you for this outstanding moderation that you've done here. Well, what a journey it was, this event. We've traveled from Bangladesh, the mega race of Dhaka, 20 million plus. We also went to Rio, which is a environmental basin in Brazil. Which is a very challenge international cooperation. Municipality, in order to better understand the Gulf of Houghton in its working by pronunciation of Houghton in South Africa. And all of these case studies helped us better understand that the way we articulate urban policies and water policies determines if we are able to reduce climate risks, better control floods, with the example of Dhaka in particular, better deal with the effects of droughts, as we've seen in Houghton, and also remind us of a very simple fact that is often forgotten, that ultimately the water from outside, drinking water, comes from the rivers, the lakes, and the water. So if we don't invest a lot in how we sustainably manage our resources, and the singularity of cities within this basin are going to suffer dramatically the effects of climate change, rapid growth, and urbanizations. So we can count on quickly, of course, in those work, keep promoting better coordination between good water policies. We're doing that right here at the Climate COP30. We'll also be doing that next year at the Industrial Basin Summit to be held in Rio, the 15th, 19th of June 2026. We hope we'll have the pleasure to welcome you there and maybe closer meeting points
is right here at the Climate Club. Tomorrow morning, we organize the official side event at 11:30 side event for on nature-based solutions for adaptation. We will see you there. Thank you again to our panelists, to our technicians, to the wonderful pavilion for hosting us, and have a good evening in Bel Air. Thank you very much.
Okay.